Hello. Welcome back to Opening the Vault. This is Mason Banks.
This is Dill Pickle. Dylan Hoban.
And we are back with another exciting segment. So we had some requests last time as to what to talk about. And we are working on the second request, which was about agents and any and all information about them and the SAG-AFTRA and also with equity. And that will be, if not the next podcast after this, it will be the following one.
Coming soon,
very soon. But the one we wanted to address today was posed by one of the recent directors we had just worked with, Vinh Nguyen. And he asked, why are we passionate about what we do?
Great question, Vin. Thank you for asking. Mason, would you like to go first?
Well, it's a very complicated question. One of my teachers had mentioned how there's a couple different ways to approach acting and art. It could be you simply enjoy the attention on you. You love being in the spotlight, or it can be more for art therapy. You know, you like expressing these emotions and or being with the sense of community. And for me personally, I feel like it's more that sense of community, especially as I explore different avenues of entertainment. It's always been that sense of community.
The people, well,
not necessarily always the people.
Sure, there's exceptions.
Yeah, there's always exceptions, but like, I guess more so, what am I trying to say?
Just the camaraderie,
the camaraderie, yes. Because I guess the first musical I did, You're in Town, and I believe I talked about this a little bit
last week.
It was such a cathartic experience because I was there and we were doing it, and I had never felt like this close with a group of people. We were laughing so hard at rehearsal sometimes until we cried, and that was great. And for me, it was all about the laughter. The laughter, I think, was the most addicting part. And I'd always liked creating little voices or characters or doing stuff because people always took me as this quiet person. So I liked kind of contrasting that image. And I think that's why I also like playing villains to an extent, is because, you know, it goes to that feeling you have when you're walking with a group of friends or maybe people and they think they know you and you're like, you don't know me. There's more than this one facet that I present every day.
Sure.
That is me. And I feel like maybe acting for me, that's what it does. It allows me to both show myself and others that there are these many sides to me, and I'm capable of anything. And it's really pushed me to when I was really exploring and pursuing musical theater to push myself to learn to dance, to try to learn voice lessons, and I really enjoyed having those skills and like pursuing them, and I still do when I have the time, of course.
Sure.
Because we're all in a super busy world, but I feel like that's the gist of it for me. But what about you? What about you, Dylan? Why are you passionate about acting?
Well, as you know, as many people in our major know, I haven't been in this major for too long. I kind of made the switch recently this semester to change to a theater major from engineering. Studied engineering for 3 years. Was not happy and was trying to figure out what was different in my life besides all the other things that come with college, what changed that led me to not be happy in my school. And in high school I had theater, so I knew that this is where I wanted to be. I knew that this is what made me happy, and performing is something I really enjoy. I'm a firm believer in that your passions need to you have to follow your passions and your passions in order to have success and love in your career. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You follow your passions and the money will come, kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. It's you can hammer away hours doing something. We usually are always going to end up quitting that job within, a year or two at most. If you're pursuing something that at least you're a little bit happier about, or maybe if that part of you that's doing the job to get the money is that's a smaller part, and you also still have some creative pursuits, as we've been fortunate enough to have with the start of this podcast, which I'm really excited about.
And it's just I know people, I know adults who have pursued careers that aren't necessarily their passion, and they aren't happy in their work, in their maybe they have financial success, but they aren't necessarily happy with what they're doing day to day.
It's kind of soul crushing from what I see.
Yeah, it can be. But of course, there's the people that love what they do, even if it's not what we love to do.
Yeah.
And that's all that matters to me, is that you do what you love and you love what you do, and the money will eventually follow. And if not, then hey, you loved what you did while you were doing it.
Yeah, that's true. I fully agree with that sentiment.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's like a lot of times listening to very interesting voices or accents has been a peak interest of mine recently.
In film, in
like as far as accents
mm-hmm.
and like how specific people say something, even if like let's say at San Diego State we have people in the program who have a very specific way of speaking,
sure,
and or maybe they have a lot of family that are from different parts of the country, and you can kind of hear that kind of, maybe not the accent, but their cadence and the rhythm of their speech is very much affected by that, and I'm fascinated by that. So like my dad, I'm from Orange County, but my dad grew up like for the first 10 years of his life in Compton, and then moved to Anaheim. So he has a very proper way of speaking, but he also very much, every once in a while we kind of jive on this very interesting spectrum of humor that is hard to explain.
And
like it's like, I don't know, I guess I would describe it as innately African American. Sure.
And how, so you're fascinated with accents. How have you been able to bring that interest into your work as an actor?
Well, it's interesting because Anonymous actually had the most opportunities for different accent placement. We had so much freedom given by director Randy Reinholz about what type of where was the person from that we were portraying, and I got to use that a little bit. It wasn't always a concrete accent as with some of my named characters, like Ali, the character I played. He was Indian.
The Indian restaurant.
But I wasn't trying to go too Indian, I was trying to still keep a little bit of Mason in the voice.
Sure.
And it's very hard to give that to, when you're developing accents. I sometimes find I fall into the trap of
the stereotype.
Exactly, and trying to dial it back, but remembering the show and what we were doing and what we were actually trying to do. There wasn't the point of Ali was his accent, it was the story. He had the family, which was really appealing to Anon.
I find it funny you bring up the stereotype. Adrian, or one of our teachers here, great guy, I think he told me this when I was studying with him for accents. He said that the best way to start is to play the stereotype and then slowly back it off to make it more respectable towards the culture you're representing, to make it more real. Because the stereotype is often the heightened version of that culture, that individual, those people that talk like that.
Definitely.
But it's a good place to start because that's you bring it, like we always say, you bring it super far, and then they'll tell you to back off, right? You show them the biggest thing you can show them as in terms of auditions or in a scene. You go huge, and if the director doesn't like it, they'll say, okay, you went that big, back it off. Same kind of thing with accents, right?
Yeah, very much so. But it's interesting. I find it easier to go farther with accents than I do with the actual emotion process in an audition, like showing them. I find it, for me personally, my biggest, I guess, challenge, and this might be a little bit off topic, has been to like going from one pond to another pond, like coming from the community theater area I was doing in Orange County to coming here and getting into the program here at State.
Just readjusting to how different groups of artists work, kind of thing? No,
it was more like a personal limitation. It was like I didn't feel comfortable, so I wasn't allowing myself to express it, even though I know I could do it well. And that's something that I think we just as we audition more and more, and or go from pond to pond to pond, or lake and or ocean,
ocean of Hollywood, Hollywood
yeah.
ocean.
Yeah, that's something we learn. But
it's you brought up auditions, and I think we're going to talk about choices a little bit. Those choices you make in an audition can be very, very important. Not necessarily the choice itself, but the showing a director that you can make a choice, a bold choice.
Yes.
A distinct choice is oftentimes what's gonna separate you from the crowd, and they're gonna say, hey, that actor or actress, I want them. They made a choice. Might not be the choice that I agree with, but they had the courage and the idea to make that choice.
Well, yeah, both the courage and they know that you have the understanding. I almost feel like courage can be worked up a little bit, as long as they know that you can change. Sometimes we as actors, we practice a monologue just one way so many times that it gets stuck in that way, and so somebody's like, okay, this time I want you to add a French accent, and you're really rich and you're toiling on the people you're talking to, and then somebody's like, oh, what? It's
you
hard.
Get stuck in these habitual ways of doing one scene, one monologue, and it's hard to take direction on it. And a good actor will know how to adapt and take that direction. It's a skill that we have to build.
Yes.
Oftentimes I hear from directors that taking direction is a very, very sought after trait in an actor and actress, and I'm like, well, what actors or actresses are you working with that don't take direction? That's one of the things, isn't it?
It's very interesting, because I feel like maybe that's more of a school setting thing, or I don't know if that was what you were talking about in that environment, because in my experience, at least in community theater, this is mostly unpaid gigs, but usually, you weren't, if you couldn't do it or you couldn't learn it, they would find somebody else.
Sure.
And that was at an unpaid level, so it spoke to me, and it gave me a sense of what I needed to do. So when I go into a project, the director he sets the outlines for what he wants his project to be, the themes, the ideas explored, the tone, and we as actors, we can play around with some of the little shadings, I guess, in this picture, or the finer details. But I ultimately think we should be able to adopt anything that the director asks.
Agreed.
And if that's something we're not comfortable with, as far as what type of tone they're doing, then that's a question we need to be asking in the audition process, and or maybe researching these directors or plays beforehand and see what we may be getting into. Because I have come across recently in some classes people or professors stressing how we need to find our own moral line that we're not willing to cross, even when you go professional, they're going to be offering you money, but you don't want to be like, stripping naked. You don't want a casting couch situation, and they happen, unfortunately, but you always want to protect yourself and make sure that you are defining and sticking by a standard you set for yourself. And I wanted to, this is going to be a change of topic, but earlier we had talked about kind of what aspect I was interested in. But I've noticed is, since you've gotten to the major, which has only been this semester, it seems like you've been doing a lot of film work and a lot of interest in film. Is that what you want to do, or are you still exploring both?
So last year in spring semester, when I was really doubting my life choices and where I was going in engineering, was when I started to get involved in film, because I found it was actually a meeting with CJ Keith, our undergrad advisor, and she said, join these Facebook pages. They have casting calls all the time for all the film students casting for their films, and this was in February. Joined all these pages, responded to the casting calls, was like, hey, I'm interested, I want to try acting in your film, got cast in a few things. That was really my first introduction into acting at this school. And then I started stepping out and looking for professional opportunities on set to learn about film making as well as acting for film. So I guess I mean, theater has always been, like we said last week, where I started, where you started.
Yeah.
Film has been more of a recent passion discovery of mine. And I ultimately would love to make film, but I'm going to act wherever I can in the next few years just to get established and get the experience.
Yeah, that seems it's definitely wise. It's one reason why I enjoy starting this podcast, because I've been doing musical theater a lot, and then recently I've been getting a lot more straight play experience. But like podcasts and maybe possible radio work is something that
voiceover work for you.
Yeah, voiceover work for me has been something I've really loved to aim at. And so exploring these different opportunities has been really important to me. Like this is an in topic. I did an open mic night at this comedy house, and it bombed really bad. It was really bad. But you know, the important thing was to get up there and to kind of get a feel for it, and like everybody was bombing, to be honest. All these comics, and some of them I had seen headline for somebody else that I saw there. Rachel Feinstein, I believe her name was, but it was just. It's just something that I want to experience, and I still haven't. I've kind of gotten a little bit of an image as to what that world is and or how I feel about it, but I still need to kind of put more of my foot or leg through the door.
Well, those failures are invaluable experiences as well. I mean, you learn arguably more when you fail than when you succeed. I think in this profession especially, that's couldn't be more true. You mentioned something about just getting out there and experiencing. I think it was either Randy or Adrian who said to our class once that actors are up there painting a reflection of life, and in order to be an amazing actor, you have to have experienced life.
Yeah.
And I think that zest for experience, that zest for doing things in life is it's essential as an actor, because you have to be like a kind of like a yes man. Yes, I want to go do that. Yes, let's go try jumping off a cliff at Sunset Cliffs. Whatever it is, you can bring those experiences into your work and your acting, and that's really essential, I think. And that's something that I want to work on more, is just doing things and gaining experiences in life in order to bring them to the field and the career.
I partially agree with that. I do believe that a more experienced actor will more easily bring life to different roles, because they will have had possibly like many of those different experiences. But I also believe it is important, even if you haven't, to be able to either try and just learn about what it is.
Sure.
And portray it that way.
With certain things, I don't think Ewan McGregor was shooting up heroin when he was filming Train Spotters, or Train Spotting rather. Yes, I think there's a limit, but the more we can, as people, just go out and have experiences, the more we can bring to our work, in my opinion, at least.
Okay. Yeah. So we were talking about passion.
Yeah, we Vin's question. Do we want to end by just briefly answering it? Answering it straight.
I love laughter. I love laughter. I love being able to see my connection with somebody live and see me affecting somebody. And when you get to that point when you're really comfortable with a scene partner and you say something and you know, because you know them a little bit now, that it really kind of hit them, and then you kind of capitalize on that, and then you guys have some genuine energy. I really like those moments, and I found in theater is the only place where those moments exist, unless there's a really long take in a film shoot. But that's what I really love about theater. I love laughter, and so like sometimes in my characters, if I'm able to put a little bit of comedic Mason in there, and it fits with the script, I will. I found more often than not, if like I'm in an ensemble role and I'm in the background, if you watch
so many opportunities.
Because there's this one time I played this guy, and there's a lot of times we're off on the side, we're supposed to be quiet, so I'm whispering quietly, pretty much trying to make my other scene partners break, but they weren't. It wasn't something out of line. It was just all in good fun and the humor, and I just fully believe in that zest, and it just there's something amazing about both laughing yourself like gutturally, you know, to the point of tears, and then making other people laugh. That I love.
Good. Yeah, I would agree with all of that. I think comedy is one of the most important aspects of what we do. I mean, why do most people go to the theaters? It's to escape, to get away from whatever it is they're dealing with in life, and to just enjoy something for 2 hours, 2.5 hours. I think for me, the biggest thing about why I'm passionate about acting and film and theater, I really love the ability that we have to affect emotionally through character. To kind of clarify what that means is, I'm sure everyone's been to a movie and seen an actor. Most recently, in my memory, I was watching Blade Runner, the new Blade Runner 2049, with,
Yeah,
and it was Ryan Gosling's performance that I was just like, man, he is really a different person up there. That's like, I could feel that. I could feel that emotion in him, and the performance was so good that it affected me. And that's, sorry we cut off there for a second, but ultimately what I want to be able to do in my art and with my acting is exactly that. I want to be able to affect someone sometime emotionally. That's my goal. That's why I do what I do. Also, makes me feel pretty good, but that's besides the point. I think if we didn't enjoy it, we wouldn't be doing it, right?
Yeah, I would agree.
Well, are you ready to close the vault on this episode?
Yeah, we're going to close the vault for a week and see what else we can dredge up and share with you, our loving audience. Thank you again for all the comments and responses. Again, I'm going to be posting this on SoundCloud, but also Facebook. I will be working on sharing it on other medias as well. So if you have any questions, comments, something you are interested in, or if something you want to talk about, feel free to reach out to us, and we will see what we can do to address it, or maybe have a new guest on the show that will help you shed some light on what you are interested in.
We got some cool things planned in future episodes, so stay tuned.
All right, this has been Opening the Vault. This is Mason Banks
And Dylan Hoban.